Gnatty is knit from the Gnomes of Grimblewood, a book publishing in September. It's by me, Sarah Shira, and Gnatty is a really special gnome because Gnatty isn't in the book, not really. 4 of the 8 patterns in the book are written with the same brim stitch count, which means the hats and the bodies are all interchangeable, and you can mix and match those 4 as much as you want, playing with gnomes and having a great time. I want you to play with gnomes, which is why I wrote it right into the book to make it mix and match, and why this Mystery Knitalong is straight up a gnome that is a mix and match, just like I want you to do in the book. So let's talk about how to assemble. I want to start off with a tip about the I-cord arms. You may be wondering why your I-cord looks so wobbly in the back, like there's a ladder and it's misshapen, and you may be wondering what to do with these ends. So let's quickly deal with my tips for those. We've got the cast off end here, the bind off end, and we want to leave that one for securing the top of Gnatty's arm to Gnatty. On this side, we've got a bit of a mess. So let's start with the place where the color transition happens. And you will probably have some floppy stitches here. And that's really common anytime we change colors because, of course, they are unanchored. They're just sort of floating free. So just gently tug on these until the stitches attached to them are the same size as the stitches next to them, so that everything just kind of looks the same size and shape. Then we're going to take these 2 ends and we're going to double knot them. So I'm just going to do like when we're tying our shoes. Like this, and it doesn't matter which color goes over which. If you want to sort of think about that a lot and really personalize it, you can. However, what we're going to do is we're going to thread them on a needle and put them up inside, and so that knot will hopefully disappear. If you struggle to thread a needle, fold your yarns and place them between your thumb and your finger and put the eye of the needle right up against it. And as you open that pinch, the needle, the yarns will naturally come up and go through your needle. So you can just push through and then just pinch them through. If your needle doesn't let you do both at once, that's fine. But if you can, I mean, then it's only one pass. So we're going to go to the spot of the knot and we're going to go right underneath it and go up the center of the I-cord. And we want to make sure that we're not accidentally coming up and out of the fabric. We really want to be paying attention. And you can use the fingers and thumb as you're holding it to make sure you don't feel the needle at all. Because if you feel the needle, what that means is that the yarn will come up to the surface of the arm and then be more visible, which for the white yarn is obviously going to be more of a problem than the arm-colored yarn. So when we pull on that, you can see that that knot has just popped right inside the arm. To deal with these ends now, we're just going to pull them taut. So put a little bit of pressure on them and snip right next to that, and they'll just disappear inside. We do the same thing for the cast on end. We're just going to slide it right up through the arm. Sliding up through the arm does give us a little bit of stuffing inside the arm, and so if you'd like your arm to be particularly stiff or to have a more of a body to it all on its own, adding more yarns through the center is a great way to do that. Even take a worsted weight yarn, the same kind of color family, and just slide it up. All right, again, we're going to pull taut and snip. It just slides inside. I mentioned how the back of I-cord can look a little unpleasant or unpolished compared to the rest of it, and the best thing to do is to block your I-cord by rolling it like a Play-Doh snake. So just put it between your hands and gently rub it back and forth. By doing this, we're going to redistribute the tension so that the extra material, the extra yarn that was here is just gently going to work its way across to these stitches, and you will find that the back of your I-cord looks the same or very nearly the same as the front. It is so much tidier than it was. Our next step is to decide which side we like as the front of Gnatty. When you do a 3-needle bind off, there will be one side that has this nice crisp set of V's stacking along it, and the other side will have a nice set of bumps from the purl side because of course we were knitting and then knitting together. So I like this side, I like the line it creates, but if you like the other side, then you choose that side. Once we have our front decided, we're going to flip the brim up. And I always assemble with the brim up because having no space between the hat and the beard is one of the ways we create these adorable personalities with the no eye look. If the beard was down here, obviously there'd be a sense of, well, where are the eyes? There should be eyes there. But if the beard is up here and the brim comes over it, we sort of assume that the eyes are underneath and give them an extra little dash of whimsy. So flip the brim up. We're going to center the beard, and on this one it's nice and easy because we have these two increased lines from where we were working our shaping. So we can just place the beard sort of centered over those two lines and we'll know that we're on track. We're going to thread our yarn onto our needle. The reason we fold the yarn is so that we don't keep jamming the needle into the top here and splitting the plies apart, and then it gets all frazzled and difficult to deal with. But if we fold it over and push it through, it's nice and easy. So we're going to start by going through the body, and I'm going to go under a stitch. So the full stitch here, a stitch has two legs of the V. So we're always going to go underneath two when we're going under a stitch. So we've gone under the body. Now I'm going to go through the top corner of the beard. And we're going to do that a couple of times. By starting by securing the beard here and ending by securing the beard there, we are going to end up with a nice crisp squared off beard. If I'm making a toy, I'm going to go through each corner a minimum of 4 times because every edge is a very high pressure point in terms of the kid lifting it around and carrying it by its beard or whatever. If you're doing a decoration, you don't need to do many passes. Then we're going to use the garter ridges themselves on the beard to sort of hide our stitches and plan things. So I will go over this garter ridge and go under this one. So I'll go over, come up under, and I've made sure to snag the body underneath. Otherwise, I'm just sort of sewing the beard to air. So I've gone down, grabbed a bit of the fabric of the body and come up. Now I'm going to go over this one, under this one. If you're doing a decoration, you can skip a little bit. You can go over one and under two. But if you're doing a toy, we want to do every single one. Over, under, over, under. All right, we're now at the corner again. So I'm going to flip Gnatty upside down so I have easier access to this corner. I'm going to go under a stitch, so 2 legs of a V. And under a stitch, 2 legs of the V, and through the corner of the beard. Go through that twice. More if I'm doing a toy. And if I'm doing a toy, depending on the child, especially the weight of the gnome, usually with toys I leave out the weighted stuffing. But if you've left yours in so that your gnome stands, Gnatty is a plump gnome and the center of gravity is lower, so you might not need any. But if I had put some in and it was a heavier one, I might even join a new length of yarn and sew across the beard a second time. All right, so having done the corner twice, what we can do is pierce through the beard and come out on the other side. And once we're here, we can tie a knot. So I am going to go under a bit of the knitting, and I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to make a loop. So what we've got here, so I've made a loop. Now I'm going to go through that loop twice. Once, twice. We need to tighten now, so we'll be pulling on the yarn in this direction while using my thumbnail against my finger to tighten it, to try to get it as small and as close to the fabric as possible. And if we're kind of careful about how quickly we nudge it, we can get that as small as possible. And now we plunge the yarn through to the other side, and the end will just live inside the stuffing forever. So we pull taut, snip up close without snipping the fabric, and it pops inside and is happy and inside the stuffing. Before you knot and snip though, do remember to stop and have a look. Do you like where the beard is? Do you like how it looks? Because once you've knotted and snipped, it is harder to undo. You can always undo with knitting, but it is better to do it before you knot. The next thing I like to do is attach the arms. Now, because gnomes don't have shoulders and because they don't have necks, they're a little funny as creatures. We like to assign them to sort of a humanoid sort of creature, but we sometimes have to help our eyes. And so having the arms attached right at the junction of the beard, the hat brim, and the body somehow helps us sort of connect everything with one place, and it helps our brains sort of see this as a more realistic creature. So I like to use this corner right there. Placement is personality. So taking the time to get your placement the way you like it is really important. You can use extra DPNs if you have them, or removable stitch markers or something, and pin things together. Have a look, see what you like, what you don't like, try things out. I like to take pictures on my phone and then put the different comparisons up beside each other in my my camera roll, and I can see all those little squares, and usually one will pop out as being, oh, that's the cutest one. Having the objective reality of the photo often really helps me make decisions about design. But arms are easy to place because I like to put them at the same place pretty much every time. So we're going to go through the I cord, then I'm going to go under the next stitch over from the beard. And I should mention at this point that I-cord has a natural curl to it. The front is a little tighter and the back is a little looser. And what that can mean is that the I-cord wants to curl. And you can block the I-cord with water if you want. You can sort of fight against it, or you can play with it. Do you want your gnome to be shrugging? Well, then place it so that the curl goes that way. I like to place the curl so that it's framing my beard, so I curl it alongside here. So we are going to create a V with how we attach the stitches. So we'll go in this direction a few times, and then we'll go in this direction a few times, just to provide stability in multiple directions, which can be really important with things like arms, which sometimes things get carried by every appendage, and having multi-direction reinforcement really helps. If we are making a toy, we're even going to turn that V into a Y. So I've gone a couple times in this direction. If it's a toy, I'm doing it at least 4. We'll now go through the I cord and go in the other direction. At least twice, I like to do. If I'm making a decoration, I can just plunge the needle through and trim it off, not even really needing to knot. But if I'm making a toy, I definitely want to insert the needle through to the underside of the arm. We're going to work in the armpit a little bit. We're going to grab a little bit of the body fabric and a little bit of the I-cord fabric, and we're going to secure this down, and if it's a toy, we're doing that 4 times. And now repeat for the other side. There's a gentleman at the cafe I go to with my knitting and embroidery group who always sits with us and talks books. And he has often asked me, Sarah, when is a gnome a gnome? And I always say, Richard, it's when we attach the nose, because there is something about this final step that really just pops the personality right into focus. Let's attach Gnatty's nose so that Richard can be happy, and so can we. One of the things you'll need to decide is which end you like better facing up. So kind of pinch it around, see what it naturally wants to do. One side often wants to be a little pointier, almost like the bottom of an onion. So decide what you want. I usually like that side to go down and the flatter side to go up. Now we've got 2 ends and we're going to knot them underneath the beard. If you find that one end is getting in your way, you can tuck that one straight through the beard right now. So you could just plunge it through and go like this. That's not how I've written the directions in the book, so I'll do it as written. But if you're struggling with one of them in your way, just put it through to the other side. So we need to make sure that we've got things centered, that we've got things the way we like. We've got the brim up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to attach it in 3 places. I like to attach it sort of high, medium, and low. Then we got 3 attachment points, and that really helps the nose not to just kind of like tip forward or look a little funny. So to do this, we're going to center it. Then I'm going to put my thumb on it and kind of roll it forwards. Then I have access to the back. So I go through the nose, Having gone through the nose in this direction, I'm now going to go through the body in the reverse direction, sort of creating a circle of yarn here. And it is really awkward to do when I am filming from above, so don't worry that it's going to be as awkward as it looks when you do it, because I have to keep my fingers my hand out of the way so you can see what my fingers are doing. All right, so we're going to go through. I'm going to go through 2 ridges of yarn here, doesn't really matter. All right, so I've gone through the nose this way, through the beard that way, and I'm going to do that again. Through, and now through. At this point, you can just go through the beard. You don't have to go through the body. We'll go through the body maybe we'll go through the body on the midpoint one. So now I'll tighten that up, get that nice and tight. And now I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to roll up. So now I'm going to keep that out of the way. I'm going to go through the nose and back through the beard. If you're going for a toy, I would go through the body at this point. Make sure you go through the beard in a way that actually snags the body underneath. If you're doing a decoration, you don't need to be so concerned with attaching things so very firmly. But my experience with children is that anything that can be used as a carrying point will be used as a carrying point. So just be aware of that. So we're going to go through that way and then through this way. And it looks like I've changed direction on my yarn circles. It doesn't really matter. These stitches are not, if the circle you're doing isn't perfect, it doesn't matter. It's all stitching and it will all help. So I'm going to tip it up forward again, and now I'm going to do the lower point. So I'm down closer to the tip of the nose. I'm going to go through the nose, a little bit down on the beard, not a lot. We don't want to be pulling the nose out of position. Knitting and stitching are quite forgiving on this point, so you don't have to worry about getting the spacing identical on the nose and on the beard. So now I'm going to tighten that up, see what I think. That's pretty good. Natty's looking pretty great there. If I am wanting to, I can use this other one to sort of secure it, maybe side to side if it's going to be a toy, because like I said, kids tend to carry it everywhere. So you could secure it sort of about 1/3 of the way in on the left and 1/3 of the way in on the right underneath if you wanted to. I'm going to plunge this through and back, bring that yarn there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the second end. And once we're back here, we're just going to tie knots. And depending on what you want to do, you can make the knots, the ends disappear as you wish. You could weave them into the beard, or you can plunge them through the body and come out on the other side of the body, or you can plunge them up and through the nose. There's no wrong way to dispose of these ends. Now we're going to flip the brim down so it looks like it's draping up and over the nose, which is one of my favorite things about gnomes. So here's Natty, popped into place. I love this step. There is something truly amazing that happens with toy making when you sew it all together. I think there is a moment of creation. We're all knitters, we're good at knitting, but when we sew something together, we create a little personality, and every time it is fascinating. I've knit a couple of Natties now, and each one is just subtly different, and I love that. I love seeing the little ways they change, the little things I can do with their expressions, and I hope that you had as much fun with this Mystery Knitalong as I did. The Gnomes of Grimblewood is publishing so soon, and if you haven't pre-ordered your copy now, please do that.